Elliott, how are we doing, sir?
I'm a little early in the morning, but
Boy,
yes,
oh
I'm
boy.
good. We've got
Man,
coffee. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for having me as a
beautiful.
guest.
Sir, man, oh man, let me tell you, this came out of nowhere. I was absolutely excited to hear about the Thicket and your work, as a broad, is very kind of like a big perspective. So, I mean, even before prior, because I wanted this to be, a focus on the Thicket, but yourself growing up and interest in film, what interested you, when you were a kid coming up and loving movies?
I mean, I think my first real exposure to film was the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Wowee.
It wasn't like Godard or Buñuel or anything like that.
Sure.
No, I grew up in a very creative house. I didn't. I wasn't one of these guys like Spielberg who was going out making films with, Super 8 camera.
Hmm.
There was a lot of imagining in the house. And then
Okay.
I sort of got into like James Cagney films and things like really sort of
Okay.
but fell in love primarily with American cinema. The movie that affected me into thinking, well, maybe I should become a filmmaker were only two movies: Angel Heart, which was an Alan Parker film,
Wow.
and then Blue Velvet, which was a David Lynch
Oh,
film, which is those two. For some reason, those films are like, wow, I should maybe unleash the imagination, and
oh man.
unfortunately for the world, there it is.
And I mean, those movies in particular, really just opening the imagination and wow, like you can do anything with film. You can really go anywhere that you would like. And man, oh man, yeah. And like I say, you're from Love is a Drug and Nightingale and Sleepwalker, I mean, you really have, kind of a variety of work that you have in your toolbox there. And The Thicket, man, oh man, I have to applaud because that movie was incredible, is incredible. I absolutely loved it, man. Um,
That was
touching,
the hardest movie I've made in my career. And
there's an
uh,
element, I mean, there's an element of the shooting that really made me feel like, and maybe, no correlation whatsoever, but made me feel like when they were making the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there was just this element of all of the cast and the crew that it was like, this is a brutal shoot.
I mean, well, you see, sort of the screen doesn't really lie. I mean, look, we were shooting in minus 35 degrees. It was its own version of a horror film. And it's kind of interesting that you draw that comparison because, obviously Texas Chainsaw Massacre was sort of the movie that really launched a different sort of version of the horror genre.
Mhm.
I mean, it was horrifically cold, but I was dealing with fantastic actors who just powered through it. Um, that movie was brutal for a number of reasons. It
Mm.
was brutal to actually get it made. I mean, listen, you've probably heard this from many directors. All films are hard to get made. This
Mhm.
one was just, the recurring nightmare. But look, we got. I mean, like, if I may, as a director, when you start making a film, you know, how you have it in your head is the best version of it
Mhm.
because you have unlimited shoot day. Nothing goes wrong and the cameras don't break or the glass
Right.
doesn't break because of the ice. Yeah, and what ends up happening with the film is that things start getting taken away from you. And then you're left with what you have, and you either step up or you don't. I mean, I'm very proud of what we managed to do,
Mm.
for sure.
Man, oh man, with the Thicket and with material like this being based on a book and having something, providing an opportunity to you to direct your own Western. What movies, kind of, were something that kind of drew a little inspiration for you as far as Westerns that you may have loved?
So, I mean, the format of the Western, if you think about what the Western genre is, it's much like what the horror genre is.
Mm.
It was a movie that came, it was a genre that came primarily out of the 50s and the 60s,
Mm.
and they would be sort of eaten like cheeseburgers. What I tried to do, if you're asking me what my influences are, it's everything that's gone before. I don't sort of, specifically with this film, I didn't look at Westerns.
Mm.
I didn't look at other films. The movie is a road movie, like Western
Sure.
stories themselves are very typical. It's sort of the reluctant, the reluctant gunslinger, the guy who's in pursuit of something bad. So this format wasn't new. What was new, and this is what Tarantino does, is that you'll look at a familiar sort of genre, but then you slightly pivot, having a female villain,
Mm,
which wasn't in the book.
hmm.
And that's what directors do. They sort of put their piss on it, for want of a better word. So I get long. I mean, being full blown, fully winded. I really didn't look at any movies. I looked at pictures. I looked at photographs, but really
Hmm.
not
Well,
film.
I love too that you mentioned it being a road and a, like kind of an adventure movie, because there's this dawning very early in it where you're like, what time period are we in? Because there's kind of this dawning of technology and there's this
Hmm.
motorcycle, but yet
Hmm.
very old school primitive technology still at will. So it's kind of like a Mad Max feel where I'm like, oh
Thousand
shit,
percent.
this is gonna
I
go.
absolutely, you've totally keyed in on that. I mean, the period that it's set in 1908 was, that bike
Hmm.
um, was period correct. And you're correct. That's why on the interiors. We actually lit with like light bulbs, they're called Edisons,
Mm,
which are
yeah.
filaments. We lit that way because we wanted to feel that it was all sort of authentic. I will say, in bringing it back to what you said about Mad Max, which is I think is the ultimate road movie,
Mm,
and having seen sort of Fiorosa
mm, yeah, sure.
last year, which is a highly underrated film. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can see these comparisons. There's nothing new in that genre. Nothing.
Hmm. Sure, sure. I mean, yeah, prior to, working on, we'll even just say The Thicket, but, your experience with working on films, do you have kind of a pre-day, pre-shoot ritual that helps you prepare for the oncoming onslaught?
It's like being a boxer. So you prep. Being real with you,
Sure.
you prep, and then in the few days leading up to the fight or the first day of shooting, you empty your mind.
Mm,
You just rely on the
mm.
reflex. So what I tend to do is, it's going to sound so pretentious, and it is. I sit in a flotation tank 3.5
Okay.
hours, 3.5 hours, and then
Okay.
probably have my last drink. Because when I'm shooting, I don't drink, and I never have my phone with me,
Mm,
which is even better. Kind of frees it up. So yeah, again, that's sort of like that's my sort of ritual.
okay.
I don't go out and do what Francis Ford Coppola does and go kabuka kabuka. I don't do it all. I work with this director called Shekhar Kapoor who used to smash
Oh, yeah.
watermelons. He used to smash
Okay, yeah,
watermelons.
yeah.
I did do I did do a couple of things. I mean, it may sound idiosyncratic, but I used to have a rabbi bless the movie,
Oh, wow.
and
Okay.
they made one movie that was a nightmare, and I'm like, I'm never doing that again. It was like, it was like
Didn't
a
work.
curse. Oh my goodness, it was a curse. Yeah.
Oh man, oh man. You can, sometimes I think that's just kind of in the cards is that you can try to do whatever you can and you just got to push through it and make it
Well,
happen.
there's that Mike Tyson, expression, isn't there? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Punch in the face. Yeah. Boy, oh boy. Man, oh man. What a direct correlation to film too. I can only imagine, limitations and
Or it's
such.
sort of like in the karate. I'm really showing my age here. It's like in the Karate Kid, sweep the leg, and you don't know you're having your leg swept.
I'm already on my back. Damn it.
Already. Well, yeah, but also, it's sort of, it's like with a career. It's anyone can do it, sort of when you've got all the tools and things like that. It's how you're tested when you don't.
Mm,
It's sort of,
mm,
it's not how you go forward; it's how you come back. And obviously you trade in the sort of horror genre. There are a lot of stories, endless stories of directors who sort of fell off and then managed to sort of push through for that one last sort of film.
sure, sure. And one of the things I loved too on this movie was it's not to say by any means that it's a horror movie, but for my friends and fans of the horror genre, there are elements, the score, the cutthroat Bill, even when she's first introduced and you have this character, you're like, oh, okay, maybe this is going to be the hero and somebody who's going to save the day. And she is just kicking ass from point one, just at the very beginning there. And I love that.
I
I mean,
mean,
there's some.
Juliet is a fully committed actor, and she fully committed to that role. And I said to her, I said, you know, it's funny with you. I met Juliette Lewis twice at the beginning and at the end, and everything in between was Cutthroat Bill. And it was sort of interesting to, I mean, she's a full method actor. She's a superb actor. She's a generational talent.
Mm,
Um,
wow.
it was kind of interesting. And she had the voice on all the time. And, you know,
What?
you'd be like, do you want some coffee? I'm all right.
Okay.
I got you in a battle.
Was this in the read through when you had kind of experienced this voice and this? I mean, because she even has this lumbering physical presence, whereas just, I mean, completely adapted into this.
Text message. I mean, I just straight offered her the role. I didn't ask her to audition or anything
Okay.
like that. And one of the reasons I was attracted to her as an artist was not just because she's a brilliant actor, but she's a performer. She's a singer in a band,
Mm-hmm.
and she moves in a certain way. So what happened was, all of a sudden, I'm sitting there. I'm with my wife, and all of a sudden I get this text message, and she's like, I've been playing around with the Goo things, and I think I found the voice, and here's the voice. And I'm like, wow, okay. I don't have any real work to do. Just with good actors, you let them go,
Right.
and then you make adjustments, because they're on the inside of the character, and you as a director you're the objective side of the character.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't see what we see, but she's very internal, really strong. I'd love to work with her again.
Boy, oh
Yeah,
boy.
no,
Yeah,
I love
that
her.
was a true testament to this was the cast and I mean when this story like at what point does this story come across your desk and you kind of read through and you're like, man, if I can do it, I can to direct this.
So thank you for asking that. There was a woman called Shannon Golding. I was at a birthday party
Mm-hmm.
in a Chinese restaurant, and she came up to me and she goes, "Oh, you're Elliott." I said, "Yeah, yeah. Do I owe you money?" She's like, "No, no." She's like, "I really like your work. Can you have a cup of coffee with me?" I was like, "Sure." You know, you never say no to a
Sure.
meeting. And she sat down. She goes, "I think I've got something for you." And she said, "Read the script." And you know, in true director fashion, I went away. I read the script, and I said, "This script is amazing. We have to completely rewrite." So,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Wow.
So I said, I'm not really interested in doing a classic Western, but if you let me change the villain to a woman and then you get me in front of Peter Dinklage within a week, then we've got a conversation to have.
Oh,
So they
wow.
agreed on the female villain, and then I flew to New York and hung out with my bro, Peter Dinklage. We had a good time, and then he was like, let's do this. And that's it's not a problem when people say no, it's a problem when they say yes, because then you've got to make the film.
Yeah, right. Kind of put out there, hey, I have some feelers for this, but I mean, where, at what point did Peter, come to mind for this role? Because I mean,
No, no,
once
no.
again,
Peter has had been on the movie for 10 years. And by
oh,
the
oh,
time we
because he was
finished,
producer, right?
he was a producer. He's an incredible
That's right.
producer.
That's right.
He
Okay.
is one of the most, I mean, I've worked with obviously many different producers. He's one of the most, um, you know, incredible sort of supportive people I've sort of, been around. I was very lucky.
Man, and his role too. I mean, that guy once kind of talking about work abroad and just the things that he takes on and him being in this. I'm just like, golly, this dude is whooping ass. Like you're not messing with him.
He's very easy to work with, and he loves being on set. I mean,
Okay, beautiful.
he loves being on set, and obviously because he did Game of
Uh
Thrones,
huh.
there's something about guys that have done television and films, like film actors. They want to stay on set all day long, but television actors, for some reason, want to get done with the day and go home. And he was sort of a hybrid of that.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, with constant evolving constraints that come with making a film, in mind, uh, bring it back to, finishing your first read through of the script and what were key moments that were sequences that you had to have, no matter,
You want a
what the
funny
constraints were.
story? You want
I
a
do.
funny story? So. Julia had a coughing fit in the middle of the read through, and everybody's saying, when
Oh no.
table reads are like showing off.
Uh,
Anyway, we had a script supervisor, um, and she's an amazing woman. And then she took over the part, but she did it with the voice. She tried to do it, Julia, and it was something. It was something else. It was interesting because obviously we had James Hetfield in the movie
uh-huh.
from a small band called
Yeah.
Metallica,
Sure.
and when he started doing the read through, he's got this incredible voice. And there was this amazing baritone. And then you really felt, oh my goodness, we are really making this
Mm.
movie. That was sort of like one or two of the nice moments.
Man, man, oh man. There was mention, with this movie early on being financed by Tubi, and at what point did they agree to attach to this project? I know that you mentioned Peter, having a long time, long
um,
term involvement, but
Tubi came on. We were at the Berlin Film Festival, which is where you go to sell the film. They came on then. They agreed to help us do a theatrical release. There's three tiers of the film.
hmm
There's the theatrical, and we did really well actually. And
mm,
then there's the VOD, which is the portion that a lot of people spend their money, they buy the movie, whatever. That did
hmm
incredibly well. I think we did like 10 million, which is
oh
insane.
wow,
And then yeah,
beautiful.
it's huge. And then we end up on Tubi, and that platform is kind of incredible. And they were trying to do sort of more originals. This was their most expensive film, but if you think of it as a marketing tool for them, I mean, they have 210 million views. I think more as many people saw my film as Avengers Endgame, which
Mm,
is amazing. They're very supportive. Adam Lewinson, who's the sort of president of sort of the creative, they were just wonderful. I mean, we got into these film festivals, they would fly us around, they put us up in beautiful hotels, and they just loved the film. You know,
mm,
um, it's very rare to have that kind of support for indies. Most indies, you never see them again.
you're
They come
right.
out, they're like a mustard burp, and then they're gone.
Here and then you never know if you're going to see him again.
We just want to
Mustard
say it
burn.
again because I can just see Maximizer is asking. It's on
hmm
Tubi. It's not on
Yeah,
HBO, but Nightingale's on HBO. If I
sure.
can I talk directly to your
Yeah.
guy?
Yeah,
Anyway,
incredible, incredible. I mean, there was mention, that the Thicket was initially slotted to shoot in 2020 outside of Calgary. That being said, had the movie been shot there, would we have gotten a very different
well,
movie?
originally it was going to be shot in a place called Almeria in southern Spain, which is where they used to shoot all the spaghetti westerns.
Mm-hmm.
We were shut down because of COVID. We didn't believe COVID could shut us down until, until
And it
it did.
happened.
It was,
Oh,
oh my god! So yeah, we sort of we bailed out of
mm-hmm.
southern Spain, and then I had these friends in Calgary
Mm-hmm.
who had done like Hell on Wheels, and they worked on The Revenant and things like that. And their name it's Nomadic Studios, and they just came in and just rocked it for us.
Mm. Man, oh man. Yeah, and incredible too. I mean, as far as like the work and I just with the snow and the landscape that we had, I was just like, man, would that have been a different movie that we would have seen?
You
Because the
you
effectiveness
tell
of the
me. I
brutality
think
here.
so.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I think it would be
sure.
a completely different movie. I think it would have been a bit too familiar. I think it could have
Yeah, I
been
think
too
the
familiar.
with and sometimes these things are a blessing. I mean, COVID, obviously, as bad as that was, to end up with the final result that we did. I mean, just a brutal shoot, and just really putting us in the live of these characters, and what you would do, if you're in this situation. One funny thing I had heard in interviews with you was that James Hetfield's involvement was sprouted from a dream that you had had. Was this a first time like materialization for you, as far as some sort of thought? And you're like, we got to do it.
I mean, specifically to this film, yes.
Mm.
On other movies, actually, yeah. I did a movie called Blitz with a guy
hmm
called Jason Statham, which is its own version of a horror movie.
Sure.
And there's an actor called Paddy Constantine who's in the new House of Dragons. I
Yeah.
think he plays the king. I had a vision for him, and that one came true. Um, I did an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, and when you're very young, you tell yourself that you're going to work with these huge mega icons,
Hmm.
and that one was definitely a visualization. But that was much younger. The greatest human being I've ever worked with.
you,
I'm not
you love
kidding.
that. You love that,
You've never,
man. Eh,
you can't imagine being being the proximity to that man, that energy was, um, you know,
Yeah, no, and such a huge physical personality, but then also just a personality in general. I mean, you love when you get to meet these people and they're like just a chill, hangout type of
I
person.
mean, we're
It's always
still
great.
friends. We're still friends. I saw him at Coulter. Can I answer this question that's just come in?
Sure.
Am I allowed to?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I did 500 music videos,
A lot.
and I did talk to Avril Lavigne about doing a feature film at Paramount,
Oh
but we both got.
wow, no kidding.
Yeah, I loved Avril. I don't. Yeah, she's
Great.
cool. But yeah, I did a lot of music videos with like Jared Leto. I don't know if you know him, Jared Leto.
Brother, listen, sometimes it comes down to writing these, and I'm like, God damn it, how do I dwindle this down? I have so much for the thicket, and I don't want to take 3 hours of this gentleman's time. And so I really wanted to dig into all that because I'm
No,
looking
I'm
and
happy to
scouring.
answer. I'm happy that's a question. Yeah, I mean, my
Yeah, sure.
my my education was music videos. I didn't
Yeah,
go to film
right,
school.
right. And I mean, and that's incredible too, just for having, that and having, I mean, was there different things as far as working in music videos that you had kind of run by James in that time with having him?
Well, I didn't really talk to James about music videos, apart from one that I talked about one that he did. Um, I'm on the road again. I can't remember that. I'm not.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
a kid. I'm older, so my memory's not as great.
sure.
We talked about music, and we talked about if this is of interest to your viewers. I asked him about the greatest concert he'd ever performed,
Mm.
and he told me that when the Soviet Union, the USSR,
Oh
had
man,
crumbled, they went there and they played to 1 million people. And he
insane.
told me what was insane about that was that nobody had ever heard music like Metallica,
Hmm.
and the army guys were taking off their jackets to just rock out, and they had helicopters that were sort of super low on the crowd. You can see the footage of it.
Hmm.
We talked about music. I tried to sing to him. Um,
How'd that go?
well, I went up to him and I went, I sang, that
Uh
song.
huh.
And then
Okay.
he said to me, yeah, I know that one. I said, you've never heard it sung so badly, though, have you? I just found it, yeah, I mean, Enter the Sandman, what can you say? Um, he was very gracious. He came in, came out. Really great guy.
Yeah, beautiful. Other than cast and crew, the brutality of the shoot. Did the cold affect other things as far as equipment, props, costumes? Was that something that
Uh,
you took out a jacket and the thing is
yeah, I
frozen
mean,
stiff?
day one, when you're shooting in minus 35, with glass, you typically have a warming truck
Mm.
that keeps things warm, and our warming truck had broken and a very
Oh
expensive lens shattered. So yeah, we had that. The thing is with the cold is everything slows down. It
man.
just slows down. People can't move as quickly. Um, I didn't sit down on that movie once. I just didn't.
Mm.
There was a technique we would do, which is you get your core temperature
Hmm.
down in order to stabilize, and then you would put the clothing on. Yeah, it's miserable. I mean, some of the actors nearly got frostbite. You know,
Man, oh
the
man.
girl that played Lula, Esme Creed Miles, like we had to put her in an ambulance because
Oh,
she.
no kidding.
Yeah, I mean, they're wearing period clothing, and I'm in like Patagucci, and her fingers have started to go. The problem is when they really start to go and you can't feel them, and then there's a,
Oh, right.
but thank God, no one
Mm,
got sick. Not
man, oh man.
physically, anyway.
Sure, sure.
We
Wow.
shut
I mean, with
down.
it.
Actually, we shut down. What am I saying? We shut down. We shut down because the winds got so strong that the equipment started shaking, and then the line producer's like, "We're out of here." Thank
Mm,
goodness.
wow, wow. What I mean, somebody's mentioning cameras and lenses and such. What
Yeah.
cameras were used on this as far as for shooting?
I use the Alexa LF, and I use compact anamorphics, which are
Mm,
quite a far. They're faster than regular anamorphics. And then I used a camera called a Petzval lens, which is
mm,
sort of a defocusing thing. But yeah, the Alexa LF was my sort of superstar camera. I like them. I like
wow.
it very much. I like it. Actually feels like a camera as well. It's not a tiny little thing.
In involvement, I mean, as far as
Mm.
cinematography, that was one of the things that is just beautiful about this. I mean, like I say, there's many aspects, but just looking at it and stopping, maybe even pausing it at points. Cinematography was there, involvement of yours as far as conversations with him and how
Yeah, I had
to
this
go about.
fantastic cameraman
Excuse me.
called Guillermo Garza. You okay? Guillermo Garza, and we got lucky on two fronts. One, I got lucky because he's super talented, and two, I got lucky because when you shoot in Calgary in the winter, the light remains very, very low. So
Mm,
that, I mean, they shot The Revenant there for that reason. So you've got two things. You have a talented guy, and then you've got enough exposure to sort of shoot. I mean, listen, wherever you point that camera in Calgary, you're going to get a
it's a shot.
masterful sort of shot. Yeah, but with a talented DP, even more so.
And I mean the wide lens, with just having the bike kind of coming and going there, and just yeah.
That was
What a natural
that was
blessing.
actually a
Oh,
cheat.
oh,
Yeah,
really? Okay.
because the problem we had with the bike is that it was an electric bike and it would only go like 8 miles an hour. So what we had to do is we had to do a cutout of the bike. That bike, when it's traveling towards you, is actually in reverse and it's speeded
Oh,
up.
really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. I mean, that's what's amazing about sort of modern sort of
Movie
cinematography,
magic.
movie magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Blah, blah.
Wow.
But yeah,
I,
it was.
what can you tell us? When we're talking storyboard, in that process, from writing to visualization. What went into storyboarding and just certain moments that were kind
I
of key for
just
you.
actually storyboarded the entire movie, and storyboards we had to because I had 22 days to shoot the movie. It's an
Mm,
absurdly small amount of
mm,
time, so we had to be. You have to set the format of how you think the film's going to feel. Unfortunately, we knew what our locations were, so we would adapt around that. They're very good. Storyboards are very good for action sequences,
mm.
but if you've got two people riding on a horse, they're not the most effective thing. Um, I will tell you that when we were prepping the movie, Guillermo would come over to the office, and I would act out all of the parts,
Okay.
and then he would say, "Well, we should put the camera here or the camera there." And we built a
Okay.
shot list around that. Yeah, it was great. I did it. I did. I played Peter Dinklage. My
Okay.
version of that film would have been terrible. Playing all the parts, but that's the stuff you don't see.
Yeah,
That's the stuff.
and I love that. That's what I love about these opportunities, these conversations, is just seeing some of the behind the scenes or hearing some of the things that might not be on featurettes and things. It's a wonderful opportunity, and I'm
Right.
always eternally grateful. I mean, as far as you mentioned, day one, what does that look like for you? What ended up getting shot? What was accomplished on that day?
Well, it's funny because when you show up, and I think you should, when you show up as a director on day one, it's a little bit like being in a swimming pool and your feet can't touch the bottom. And as soon as you turn over, as soon as you start rolling,
Uh-huh.
that reflex is there. You have to adapt. You just adapt. It's sort of like Okay, the camera went down. Okay, that's nothing. Let's figure out. You just have to learn how to pivot. I was a first assistant director for many years, so
Hmm.
that sort of afforded me the ability to change and sort of. I'm not going to just dig my heels in, and we've got to get this way. I just couldn't behave that
Mm.
way. Not on this anyway.
Sure, and that's I mean a beautiful thing to be able to have that. And I remember you mentioning as far as being an AD for all those years and something that is just an on the job experience for taking on directing, being able to weave through some of the troubles that come on.
I will say that being an AD and then becoming a director, it's very interesting because even though I had such close proximity to directors and watching it get done, the moment you're in that director's chair, it
Hmm.
becomes something else and you kind of shit your pants because then you realize that the buck stops with you. There's no layer. You
Yeah.
can't hide from a crappy frame or a crappy idea.
Mm.
So you
Yeah.
get your sea legs after a while.
When you're developing, and visually designing a period piece like this, what were some of the physical items that may have been difficult to track down? We have everything from garb to props to guns, the
Well,
bike.
no props. I had this guy called Ken Adams. Kenny's a legend. He did Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood. He's a legend. So it wasn't hard
Wow,
to find the
wow.
period stuff. What was difficult was building the bike and then
Hmm.
building this thing called the Schmidt. Oh, sorry, it's my wife's
It's all right.
phone. Um, and building the Schmidt was really difficult. What happened was anything we built wouldn't go above 8 miles an hour. It, it was a curse. And I remember the first time we used the Schmidt, I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And then the Canadians, they're very nice. They're like, "Well, yeah, we give it a shot." And I'm like, "I gotta put this on a put this up." Ways workarounds like we would
Uh,
tow it, push it. I had my
wow.
huskies pulling it. It was great. But that was
Okay.
a real challenge. What's also interesting now is that the development of like gunfire, obviously, because we were in the shadows of Rust.
Mm,
Um, we didn't shoot one shot. We didn't do any squib hits. Everything in there is a visual
mm,
effect, and that's
mm.
sort of
Interesting.
it's all changed. I mean, it's the same with like I don't know if you saw the last John Wick. There wasn't one shot fired in
Right.
John Wick. It's all visual effects.
Oh, really? Wow. I mean, I can
Yeah,
imagine
because
after that
nobody wants to.
accident.
They do what's called an airsoft, and an
Hmm.
airsoft creates like the wind hit,
Yeah.
and then you shoot it in post. You want to keep
Oh,
people
wow.
because because one, the technology is there, and two, it's
Safe.
very time. Well, it's not just safe; it's just the time it takes to do a squib hit or something like that. It takes forever.
Mm, mm.
It takes forever.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, especially after that, it's interesting that you bring that up because I've some friends and I were talking about that the other day and just kind of thinking on how things have changed since an accident like that.
Well,
Um,
to be put it in perspective, hundreds of thousands of rounds get shot every year. That and the Crow are the two freak accidents.
hmm.
So you could argue that it's safer than not.
Hmm.
You know, but if you can mitigate against it and you can find a way around, then that's our responsibility to do that.
Mm, sure. I mean, as a fan of film first, what sequences most excited you? When you're kind of on the post of this thing and making your own western, making your own adventure road movie. Was there certain points, when you're watching and editing, and you're just like, man,
Yeah, actually, if you're talking from an action point of view and not just a performance point of view,
sure.
having Andrew Schultz do a fight
Oh my
sequence was
God.
was pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
He'd never shot anything like that, and we had him on set for like 5 days. He
Okay.
is an incredible actor. I wasn't
Man.
expecting it. Took direction with no, and by the way, and a really great guy.
Yeah. Good.
family man,
Awesome.
like, and not just funny. He took the work really seriously. You could see him sort of processing it.
Mm,
So that fight sequence, we did, I think, 3 takes of it, and it's continuous, as you can see, and very few edits, which is also honoring that tradition that you would see in, um, you know, westerns from like the 60s.
hmm.
So I'm told.
Yeah, sure. And Andrew, I mean, like, of course, hilarious. But seeing him in this, I'm like, what is this guy doing here? You know, and I'm like, wow, he pulled it off. Absolutely incredible. Still has the mustache, the Dapper Dan haircut. I'm like, well, he fits in.
Well, I also, to be fair, Andrew Schultz was my wife's idea.
Oh,
Um,
oh, really? Really?
well,
Wow.
just a little backstory. She and I were in India before our wedding, and she said we should hire Andrew Schultz to come and be the comedian at our wedding. And then I looked into it, and it was a fortune. And then I happened to be talking to Levon Hawke's agent, and I said, "Well, who do you represent?" And he said, "I also represent Andrew Schultz." I said, "Get this script to him immediately." And he said yes. And, you know, he hadn't acted at that level. And we did a boot camp for 5 days where I got him into sort of fighter shape.
Hmm.
Very disciplined guy. And wow, I really liked working with him. I really
Man, oh
enjoyed
man.
him. Yeah, it was great.
Tons of surprises, tons of fun in here. Like I say, I mean, we mentioned James Hetfield and Andrew Schultz, and I mean, when we see Juliette Lewis, we see Peter Dinklage, and we see all the actors and performers at hand. There was also some that I was like, wow, I did not expect this, and the product that they put out was amazing. Absolutely love it. Uh-oh.
Sorry, the dogs are just going mental. It
That's
must be.
hard.
They must feel your spirit. Yeah, no, again, that's what you try to do. You try to sort of, as a director, you try to take again a format and then just give it your sort of taste level. I mean, look, another director would have come in and given a totally different point of view on it, and they've
Mm,
been equally as good.
mm.
But
What did you feel like looking back on this? Maybe in your process, maybe in your technique, evolved as far as working on the thicket. I feel like
uh,
there was a lot at hand
uh,
here that really, you know,
think
kind of
think
put you to the
that
test.
I think the lesson is just to do something with heart. I mean, I've made other projects where my heart wasn't necessarily fully in it, and you could tell in the work.
Mm,
But always do things out of passion.
mm.
I also don't tend to look back on my films, because I can't change that course of history. Um, I think looking back, I just sort of, oh wow, looking back, it was sort of, you don't have to do that again. You don't have to shoot in 22 days in minus 35. You don't, you know. By the way, whoever wrote that about Jeff Cronenworth, I've worked with him.
Mm.
Yeah, I've worked with Jeff. He's a great guy. His father's a very famous DP called Jordan Cronenworth, who shot Blade Runner. Jeff's really nice, very quiet guy. But
Wow.
yes, great DP.
What was the last scene shot for the thicket?
Oh, the last scene was, I think it was the last scene of the film.
Okay, closing right on it.
Well, that's the other thing as a director, the dream is sort of to always shoot sequentially.
Mm,
Nicholas Refn, who did Bronson, the Pusher
hmm.
trilogy, and Drive, he shoots sequentially. I mean, I shot as sequentially as I could. We were moving around locations. But yeah, I think that was the last one. I think
Okay, okay.
that was the
I mean,
last one. Oh, wait a
as
minute. No, wait. I'm lying. The last, the last sequence was the killing of Juliette Lewis's character. Wow, going back, that's it. Had
mm.
a senior moment. Forgive me.
No, not a problem. Not a problem. Wow, I mean, anybody who hasn't seen it, absolutely watch once again on Tubi or rent it or man, is there a physical release in store at all?
There was. we did a really great art house release.
No, I meant
You know,
like a Blu-ray. I'm
I
sorry.
don't think so.
No.
I don't
Oh
think
man.
so. I mean, all my other films have had that. I just
Mm-hmm.
think because that format seems to have died
Mm.
for some
I
reason. But yeah, it just seems like it's a harder. It's almost like with theatrical. There are fewer and fewer movies coming out on theatrical because there's fewer people going to the cinema. Let me give you an example. I went to see this movie this weekend called Magazine Dreams
okay. Yep.
with Jonathan Majors, which is one of the best movies I've seen all year. I mean,
Oh man.
there was
Okay.
no one
Excited.
in the theater. No one was there.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
What you sort of realize in this era, I mean, by the way, change is very good. Change ushers in. There's all kinds of wonderful things with change. You know, AI is
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal. Um, but the collectors have gone. The
Mm.
collectors seem to have disappeared, so there seems to be less demand for it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I mean, myself being one, and a lot on, like there's a bigger horror community here on Instagram, even that surprised me as far as the amount of people that still, collect and have. I mean, I have hundreds of Blu-rays and DVDs over here, just because it's always been a thing. I've always, that physical aspect. But it's awesome. I mean, as far as, like you say, and having the change and having different things, as far as it's still having a theatrical, it's still having, being on Tubi, available for VOD. Those are all positives as well,
I
but
mean,
I would love to add it if at that
I
point.
mean, I think that I think I made the point earlier about your movie. The most important thing for me is I don't really care about the sort of 8,000 Academy voters. I care about people seeing the film.
Mm,
That's the most important
hmm.
thing, you know. I mean, we got some award nominations, it was very nice, uh, and it's validating, but it's not why you make the film. I want, the 210 million views means more to
Mm,
me than, a statue
hmm.
of me sort of thanking God and my agent and things like that. So yeah, I mean, that movie thankfully will live forever, and people can pick it up. They can love it, they can hate it, but it'll be there.
Yeah, I think it'd be harder to hate than love. This
Well,
is
I mean,
incredible.
listen, here's the other. It's like critics, right? You get your reviews in, and you have to enjoy a good one and a bad one with equal
Sure,
contempt. That's just
sure,
what it
sure.
is.
Okay, okay. Do you have, a typical rap celebration? I know that there was times that, much of the cast and crew kind of got together throughout the shoot and had some
Yeah,
dinner and wine.
not really.
Mm,
No, no,
okay.
not really. I mean, you've spent all this time together. It's like summer camp.
Hmm.
You say goodbye on set,
Yeah,
and
it's
then
done.
everyone jumps on. Most people jump on a plane. You're in the middle of the shoot, and then half the cast has disappeared. No, not
Hmm.
really. I mean, I mean, while we're shooting, yeah, I mean, I would have dinners, and because we were shooting in Canada, I'd be given elk meat and moose meat, and they
Mm,
would all come over. My wife was there, and we'd all cook and sit down. But no, not really,
okay,
not
okay.
really.
Uh,
Did we
what?
ever? I'm just trying to think if I've ever done a rap. Yeah, I think on Blitz we did a big rap party.
Okay, okay. And I mean, like you say though, as far as the time spent together and people away from families and friends
Yeah.
and such, it kind of gets a point where it's like, well, we're at the end of it here and we got what we got. So thank you. Yeah.
Well, it's like, but it is summer camp. You all say you're going to see each other again.
Hmm.
Although on
Sure.
this one, I talk to all of the cast still. We're all buddies.
Oh, okay. Wow. I mean, hopefully something further. That'd be absolutely amazing.
Well, I
Uh,
don't. I actually don't mind if there isn't.
sure,
Um,
sure.
I think on every movie, I've sort of changed up the cast. The only guy who I think I'll work with again is David Oyelowo, who did
Mm,
Nightingale. Because the
sure.
thing
Okay.
is, you um, kind of want to sort of keep evolving.
Hmm.
There are two ways also that I think a director should work, which is discovering new talent
Hmm.
and then paying respect to the sort of older talent and bringing them together. I think that's really
Sure.
important.
I appreciate that point too, because I think of different times with like a Tim Burton or even like a Quentin Tarantino, and there's certain kind of cast that is constantly a revolving door, and it's I appreciate that for the work that they have, but then also have certain points where it's like, oh, who is this guy or who is this woman, who is this kid? Where did they come from? I appreciate that as far as that discovery.
I mean, where I mean, Levon Hawke, who's Ethan Hawke, I mean, the Thurman's kid, that was his first leading role.
Hmm.
I worked with Lewis Pullman, who's Bill Lewis Pullman, is in sort of what's that new? There's a new Marvel movie coming out, I think, but he was in Top Gun and things. I gave him his first
Mm,
role, and you sort of make these discoveries and then you watch them sort of evolve. Lizzie
sure.
Kaplan from a million years ago,
Hmm.
you know. And you watch them evolve,
Hmm.
and you kind of go, well, we worked together, didn't we? And
Sure.
I was happy to be part of that
Yeah.
journey. But
Okay. Did you end up keeping anything from set from this shoot at all?
yes, just stuff. Uh, I think like a coat, a hat, maybe a couple of hats.
Okay.
But again, I don't tend to cling to things.
Hmm.
I tend to let
Okay.
it, I just tend to let it go. I just go,
Yeah.
just to keep. Arnold taught me that. He's like, you have to keep going ahead, ahead, keep moving. Don't look back. Which is kind of true. Like in your life, you can't change your past. You can't rewrite your own history. And if you did, it would be kind of boring.
Yeah, sure. Did you do voiceover work for the movie that you worked with him there?
I
Uh,
did when I worked with him. I'm not going to say I didn't, but there was definitely a couple of moments where we couldn't get hold of him for whatever reason. So I would go in and temporarily do it. Okay,
you actually did?
yeah, temporary.
Holy
I
shit!
did it with Statham. I do a really good Jason Statham. So I would do it with Statham.
Oh, that
What
is
else would I do? I would
hilarious.
do
Oh my
yeah, I
God.
mean, they have these things called Waller groups. And Waller groups are the groups of people who they do the background noises like the ha 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 ha. Ooh. I
Okay.
definitely did a lot of Waller.
Oh,
But no,
oh man,
Jason
that
I would
is
definitely go in there and
hilarious.
be like, hey, listen, I'm gonna fuck you up,
Damn, that is
Arnold was
incredible.
easy because I was around him so much, and I picked up his. Everybody does their own version of
Yeah, yeah,
Arnold. Arnold, you get it. It's the way he would say
yeah,
California.
yeah, yeah. It's amazing. One last thing, and this was something that I was
Uh-huh.
thinking of earlier, and I forgot to mention. You had mentioned as far as building the bike. Was that something that was that based off of like an Amazon purchase, or how did that
Oh
how did
my
that come to be
God!
built?
I mean, we did our we knew that shooting an engine was
Mm,
problematic because you couldn't then put the parts of the bike to make it look real because the fuselage on an old bike was very, very narrow and thin.
mm.
Um, and, you had to have a specific exhaust. No, we went and found electric bikes and we would strip them down.
Okay.
That one is still available. That one's in Canada. They've asked me if I want to ship that in. I haven't done that yet. Maybe
Wow, it's still
I
there.
should give
Yeah.
it to my kid. Um, 8 mile,
Riding around
8 miles
town.
an hour. Anyway,
Oh man, Elliot, this has been absolutely amazing. I
oh my
once
God.
again, can't appreciate the time anymore.
Oh my goodness, of
Uh,
course. Thank you for
Man,
asking me. I'm a
this has
big
been
fan
incredible.
of what you're doing. It's kind of amazing.
Thank
It's
you very
amazing
much.
and very authentic. So,
Yeah. Well,
thank you so much.
I, I try as far as being worldly and having people from the states, but then also outside of the states, very important. And this movie was incredible. I couldn't
Okay.
pass up trying to reach out. So
I appreciate it. Thank you
once
so
again,
much.
this has been amazing. Anybody who's watching, I'll have this. I have regular episodes up on Tuesdays. Here in like the coming months, I'll have this on YouTube. And once again, enjoy your day. Thank you very much for stopping by this early morning. Take
All right.
care.
Bye bye. See you.
See ya.
Bye.
On Tuesday.
He's a lo-fi horror guy. Yeah, he's kind of a guy, but he is so lo-fi, lo-fi, a horror guy. Yeah. Lo-fi horror guy has been recorded in front of a live studio audience.